Good evening, folks, and thank you all for joining us for another Monday Mayhem presented to you by the Nightmare Hunters podcast. We're going to be picking up tonight right where we left off with the Gideon story, and things are really starting to take shape. I'm really enjoying where this is going, and we'll hopefully have a great story that we're telling together. So, having said that, I want to introduce my co-host for the evening, Robbie Jed Brains. And we're going to do our best to bring you guys some good entertainment and so a group kind of shared world building experience. And I think you guys are going to enjoy it. And if you're new to the Monday Mayhem, I hope you guys like it because we've already been doing this for a little bit, and I want to keep it going. But I think this is a very interesting way to spend some time together and for y'all to not only have input on the story, but to learn about the process behind the curtain. So, having spouted that big mouthful, Robbie, how the hell you doing, brother?
Doing pretty good. How are you?
Oh, live and kicking so far. I believe you got something to show off, your new business cards.
Yeah.
Show them rascals off, because those are good looking cards. Look at that. I like that. Heck yeah.
That links to my Linktree account, which has takes you to the Patreon or to my author page.
I really ought to do the Linktree thing. I've never done it.
Well, I hadn't either, but Ryan Glenn, the one you know who I'm talking about, he was talking to me today, and he said, you ought to do that Linktree thing. It's free. And you can put whatever you want on there, and if you need to add stuff or change or whatever, he said it doesn't matter. Once they generate the QR code, it takes it to whatever you put on there. So whenever you get the Nightmare Hunters page up and running, all I got to do is go back into my main page, add that, it'll add it to it, and it doesn't matter because the QR code links it to that page, and that page will update itself when you update it. So you never have to go back and worry about changing your QR code because this changed or that changed or whatever. It made sense and it was free. So I was like, yeah, why not?
I'm going to write that down so I remember to do it. Linktree. I know Jonathan Mayberry does it, and I've seen his. I just, it's one of those things where I've heard about it and thought about doing it on a number of occasions and just never got around to it.
Yeah, I was just like, that makes sense. I think I'm, because we all got different links for all this other stuff on there, and I was like, well, that would make sense if you can take them to that one place, kind of like what you were talking about. It just gives you all the one place to go to all those different links.
Sorry, I was posting something in the chat. Richie's girlfriend is having some issues, so y'all make sure you keep her and her family in your prayers. Lone Queen says, do those cards double as throwing stars or improvised knives? You can cut yourself on them. They're aluminum. So if you're playing with them, I took one and threw it and stuck it in an apple. So yeah, if you get good enough with them, you can stick them in things. Anywho, I'm drinking a little coffee. We had to go out and run errands today, go pay some bills. I had to go to Walmart and pick up some prescriptions. So after we were everything was all said and done, we decided to go to one of our favorite flea markets and just look around. And I found a couple of still in the they're open, but they're still in the plastic sleeve albums by a band I liked back in the 80s. I hadn't seen those albums in years. It was a Scottish rock band called Big Country, and I found two of their albums on vinyl today, and I can't wait to put them on my record player. I'm starting to collect vinyl again.
Well, I used to have a lot of them.
I did too.
I had Electric Light Orchestra.
Oh, I like Yellow.
Well, originally I only got them, and I only got the album I had. I only got it because that was the Rock and Roll Express's theme song, Rock and Roll is King. That's the only reason I originally got them, but I ended up liking them after I listened to more stuff on the album. But had that, Well, I just had the 45s of Beat It and Thriller. Oh, God.
Miss Lene likes BTO. I like BTO.
Bachman Turner Overdrive.
I've got a bunch of Iron Maiden on vinyl that Noah has liberated. I'll have to eventually sneak into his room and steal them back. I don't have near the collection of vinyl I used to have, but now that I know they've got a bunch of it at some of these flea markets, I'm going to start going and just perusing the albums and picking them up for $5 a piece in the condition they were in. I was pretty astounded. So if I can keep finding them in that price range, I'll have a pretty good collection in a few years.
Poncho Doc was on Saturday night, and he's not on Monday nights because this is more mine and DA's wheelhouse. But
Or,
Doc,
although he is welcome to join us, I think it'd be fun to have him on if he's got time. Oh, everybody's throwing out a bunch of good old bands. Foghat, Molly Hatchet. I used to have a bunch of Molly Hatchet.
I've got it somewhere. I don't know where I've got it. But
with disaster.
My dad gave me. I've got an 8-track of Iron Butterfly, that 8-minute drum solo.
Mm-hmm. How high were those guys?
High enough to hunt ducks with a rake.
Yeah, that is a pretty good analogy. I mean, the name Iron Butterfly, that song, Anagata Devita, was them being too high to say in the Garden of Eden.
Yep, pretty much. But
Northwoods, you're right. Those old Molly Hatchet album covers, those were fantastic. I used to have a bunch of those as posters on my wall when I was a younger man.
I was always partial to the Iron Maiden covers.
Iron Maiden covers are fantastic. Love those. But I had a whole bunch of rock posters I know, shocker. I had a bunch of rock posters on my wall when I was throughout the 80s and early 90s. Up until the time I got married, and that made me take them all down.
I had most of my vinyls from my favorite band of all time, the hottest band in the land.
Who's that?
You wanted the best, you got the best. The hottest band in the land. Come on.
I know that, and I'm drawing a complete blank.
Oh,
I know I'll probably slap myself in the head when I hear it. But
no, not the Eagles, Lene. Come on, chat. Kiss.
I was never a huge Kiss fan.
Oh God, I'm a Kiss
I liked a lot of their songs, but I didn't like faithfully collect their albums. But I did like some of their songs. I don't know. I didn't get it. I'll tell you who I could never get into. That was the Beatles and the Rolling Stones. People raved about those two bands. I've never liked either of them.
I like the Stones. I didn't like the Beatles. I mean, I'm not going to say I didn't like the Beatles. I was never a big Beatles fan. Some of their stuff I can listen to. Stones, different story. Paint It Black was one of my favorite songs. But yes, Kiss was that. I got to see them in concert, and that was a bucket list thing. That was the best and greatest concert that I've seen some good stuff.
Boston's a good band. Russell, not Russell, Poncho mentioned Leon Russell. I love Leon Russell. I love those old bluesy singers. Leon Russell's version of Good Time Charlie's Got the Blues is one of my favorite songs. BOC, love me some BOC. There's one album in particular called Club Ninja. Got me through a particular rough year in my life. I didn't have a lot back. I was homeless for about a year before. This was before I met Annette, right after I got out of the Army. And I was homeless for about a year, and that album got me through it. I would just listen to it over and over and over again because I had it was on cassette. It wasn't the vinyl version, but I would pick up batteries, and that just got me through it. Grand Funk Railroad. Ozark Mountain Daredevils are from right here in this area, and I met the drummer a couple of times. He used to shop at the same grocery store I did. Super nice guy. can't remember his name to save my ass, but he's a real nice guy. I've met the Rainmakers. The Rainmakers actually did the song that gave me the title for the Lakeview Man. They've got a song called The Lakeview Man, and it is creepy as hell if you've never listened to it. Great song. Santana, oh yeah. Harry Chapin, another good one. Cats in the Cradle. Arlen says Chicago played at my high school graduation. That's cool. Miss Lenny says Pearl Jam is what she named two of your young chickens. They were playing. We were listening to some Pearl Jam earlier today. Had it on in the car. We just put it on a rock station and just let it play.
Yeah, Chicago was another one of my favorite bands.
Annette loves Chicago. That's one of her favorite bands. We got several of theirs.
That was good.
Milkman says says I'm a ZZ Top fan. So you like Greg House, do you? Frankly, I didn't even know he was in a band.
Yeah, well.
Another one,
good one.
Alan Parsons Project. I love them.
Oh,
CCR. Oh, hell yeah, Mike.
Brown got it. CCR. I love me some CCR.
Oh, I could listen to CCR all day. Blood, Sweat, and Tears. Man, we're talking about a lot of great bands here. AC/DC. Kevin likes the Doors and the Animals. I like the Animals. I like the Doors. Okay. It's not like one of the bands that I hated, but they were okay to me, but not one of my favorites. The Animals are fantastic. Oh man, Fleetwood Mac. Man, we could sit here and name awesome bands all night. Mm-hmm. But that is not getting us to the task at hand, and we probably ought to kind of meander that direction.
What's that, Rob? I said, what's one of our shows without some derailment here and there?
That's true. Miss Lene says Journey is another one of her favorites. I like Journey.
I love Journey.
Led Zeppelin. Okay, I'm kind of there with you on Led Zeppelin. They're one of those bands I'll listen to them if they're on, but I won't turn them off. But they're not one of my favorites. Oh, Dire Straits, Bob Seger, The Police,
Bob Seger and Silver Bullet Band's one of my tops.
Bob Seger, one of my favorite all-time songs. And I always told, there's two songs I've always told Annette that if something happens to me, I want to play it at my funeral. And one of them is Bob Seger's famous Final Scene. And the other is Slow Marching Band by Jethro Tull. Yeah, if you want to hear my life in a nutshell, there's three songs that'll explain it to you. Simple Man by Leonard Skinner, Slow Marching Band by Jethro Tull, and famous Final Scene.
I only got one. It's by Whitesnake.
What? Is it Still of the Night?
Not that one. Here I go again.
Sure not. Hear the wolf howl, honey. Stinking around your door. Might be yours.
Nah, more. It's more. Here I go again.
Yeah. Leonard Skinner's Simple Man's always been kind of an anthem for me. And now, granted, I wasn't my mother's only son. I'm the youngest of 11. I have 6 brothers and 4 sisters, all of which are older than me. Yeah, I'm the youngest, but I wasn't the only son, but I was the one she spoiled the most. Was it on Tombstone they said Mom always doted on the frowner? Yeah. Doobie Brothers. Man. Now you guys are making me want to just put my headphones on, kick back, and listen to some music. Arlen Neal says One by Three Dog Night. Good song. Dude, we've got to grab the rope and pull this one back on track, or we'll just sit here and talk about music and not get any writing done. Okay, from this point, I'm going to have a hard time keeping up with chat because I'm going to turn that off. Why is my phone going active? What the heck? I guess it heard me say something and it started trying to open up. But I'm going to close out of my other browser, so I can't see the chat much. I can see what's popping up on the streaming screen, but it doesn't pick it up all the time, and sometimes it's a bit delayed. But I am going to go back to the beginning of chapter 4.
I got the chat, so don't worry about that.
And we're going to read the beginning of chapter 4, Profit and Loss. Should I share the screen or just read it?
I'd say just read it and then share the screen.
Okay.
Probably easier for you to do it that way.
Probably.
Plus, that's the way we've done it all the way back. So
yeah, that's true. Okay, chapter 4, Profit and Loss. 6, Martius, Greenbrier Village. While Regan took care of the horses, Gideon slipped away from the village with his bow. There was just enough lingering light remaining for him to see small game and movement in the shadows. By the time Regan had finished, Gideon returned with 3 wild hares and a handful of wild greens. Here, said Gideon, I don't want you to think I can't earn my keep. Perish the thought, Roman, answered Regan. This'll go well for the evening meal. Rhiannon will be pleased. They stopped long enough to wash off the road dirt at the small communal well and that the village shared, then brought a bucket of fresh water back with them to the small hut. Regan entered first and was immediately attacked by a fierce hug from his tiny daughter. She wrapped her little arms around his knees and clung to him like her life depended on it. Papa, she screamed gleefully. Aye, little one, said Regan proudly as he lifted her into his arms. Hey, you been good while I was gone? Of course, she replied, giggling. What did you bring me, Papa? Regan smiled broadly. Bring you? He asked teasingly. Why ever would I do such a thing? You always bring me something, Papa, she said, grinning widely and digging her hands into his cloak, looking for a prize. Well, I brought you this Roman, Regan said, chuckling. No, that's not it, protested Skyla. Are you sure? Regan answered, teasing her. Aye, squealed Skyla. Where is it? Stop teasing the wee lass, said Rhiannon, giggling. You ain't fooling her no way. Regan reached into his pouch and produced a long, wide ribbon of beautiful blue silk. Then he removed another one of magnificent red. Oh, squealed Skyla, where did you get those? Aye, where did you get those? Asked Rhiannon. That weren't a simple gift and not easy to come by. It's nothing, replied Regan. Nothing but the best for me, wee lass. I traded a few hare skins to the Romans' outpost for 'em. How many? Asked Rhiannon. 4, replied Regan. 4 hair pelts, and you got 2 bits of frippery, said Rhiannon sourly. A wee bit jealous, are you, me love? Asked Regan, grinning widely. Do you think I forgot about you? Her face softened when he produced a brass wrist cuff with red stones set into it. Regan, she exclaimed. There's no way you got that for 4 hair pelts. Aye, answered Regan. I traded 4 swords for it. Regan, she exclaimed again. That's too much. Nay to worry, me love, answered Regan with a grin. The gods were a-smiling on us today. A few hours ago, we was attacked by brigands. 4, to be exact. I brought home 4 swords and 50 silver coins. Think nothing of the bauble now. Smiling, Rhiannon slipped it over her hand and onto her wrist. Hold on a second. I got to fix an error that I just caught. Smiling, Rhiannon's... What's that?
I was going to say, funny how that happens, ain't it?
Yeah. Smiling, Rhiannon slipped it over her hand and onto her wrist. It's beautiful, she said, beaming with pride. And the Roman brought supper, he said, holding up the hares. Rhiannon's face soured slightly, having nearly forgotten about the presence of the stranger in her home. Thank you, Roman, she said unenthusiastically. I'll skin 'em out, said Regan. Mama, said Skyla, can you braid me hair with these? Of course, wee one, she replied softly. While the menfolk clean the hares, I'll do your hair. Get your brush, little one. Gideon stepped out into the cool night air. Regan followed him and immediately went on edge. What's wrong? Asked Gideon. Do you nae see it? Whispered Regan, pointing toward the small sheep pen. Gideon looked and frowned. The sheep were all standing around in one section of the pen closest to the house. What about it? Asked Gideon. They moved closer to the house, explained Regan, and they're quiet. Something's got 'em spooked. Gideon began peering into the darkness of the thick trees. He didn't see anything moving, but he felt something stirring in those Stygian depths. Something moving on silent paws was stalking them. Sorry, I got all choked there. Grab your bow, Roman, whispered Regan. We got a predator close to the flock. Gideon unslung his bow from over his shoulder and readied an arrow. I don't think I'll be much good with this, whispered Gideon. I can't see a damn thing. Soon you will, replied Regan, nodding toward the dark woods just beyond the sheep pen. As Gideon continued to focus his attention on the darkness, a shadow within the shadows seemed to flow from one tree to another. Did you see it? Whispered Regan. I think so, replied Gideon. Why would it come this close to your village? Fresh blood, answered Regan, nodding at the hares. Damn, hissed Gideon. Regan began creeping forward slowly. Gideon tossed the hares on the top of a barrel and knocked an arrow, then began creeping after Regan, trying to make as little sound as possible. I'll go to the left, whispered Regan. When I flush it out, you take the shot. All right, replied Gideon. Regan slipped away and slowly drew his sword. Gideon moved away from the house to get a clearer shot at the spot where he expected the creature to emerge. Minutes crept by like hours as they readied themselves to take on whatever was lurking in the deep shadows. After what felt like days, Regan finally got into position and prepared to spring after whatever creature was hiding behind the trees. Just as he was preparing to rush the beast, the front door of the house flew open and Skyla came running out, heedless of the danger in the darkness. Gideon turned in surprise and started to shout a warning, but things were already in motion. Papa, shouted Skyla happily. Look at me pretty hair. Gideon saw the movement in the trees. The running child had caught the creature's attention, and the predator's instincts had kicked in. A massive, dark wolf raced out of the trees and ran straight for her. The beast had to weigh close to 150 pounds and would easily carry off a tiny child without effort and be impossible to catch once it got back into the woods. Skyla! Roared Regan, but he was too far away to be of any help. Gideon dropped his bow, drawing his sword as he ran full out for the child. In the edge of his vision, he could see the massive wolf bearing down on her with the relentlessness of a juggernaut. The race was going to be close. Skyla! Screamed Rhiannon from the house. In a flash, the wolf leaped at the terrified child. She stood frozen in fear as the massive beast flew toward her. It seemed as if all hope was lost when Gideon slammed into the side of the beast, sword point first. There was a yipe of pain as Gideon's weight knocked the beast to the side, missing the girl by inches. Man and beast tumbled together as Gideon continued to slash into the beast with the sword. Claws scratched into his flesh and the beast bit down on his shoulder, but Gideon didn't stop. He twisted the blade and slashed downward, spilling the creature's innards out onto the dusty ground. As the beast's final death throes came to a stop, Gideon rolled away from it. He was panting heavily and covered with blood. It took him a moment to realize that at least half of it was his own. His eyes focused on the stars above him, and he felt himself slipping into unconsciousness. He looked to his right as a figure appeared above him. It was Rhiannon, and he found himself almost drawn into her strange green eyes. Help me get him into the house, she said. He's lost a lot of blood. Is the child? Gideon wheezed. She's fine, replied Rhiannon. Thanks be to Yea. Gideon passed out and drifted off into a strange dream. He dreamed of flickering firelight and a strange language chanting over him. The vision of Rhiannon faded in and out of his dream, and he tasted a strange, bitter liquid in his mouth and the acrid smell of unfamiliar smoke that burned his nostrils. Time seemed to slow, and the odd chanting continued until everything faded to black. He awoke in semi-darkness, lying on a pile of furs and covered in coarse blankets. He felt chilled despite the nearby fire and the coverings. He tried to sit up, but groaned as pain lanced through his shoulder, both arms, and abdomen. Be still now, said Rhiannon softly. You'll open your wounds. You must rest. Where? Gideon began, his words slurred. You're in me home, Rhiannon finished for him. Skyla and Regan are asleep. It's late, almost dawn. Why are you awake? Asked Gideon, his head still fuzzy with fatigue and pain. I sat with you, she replied. I had to break that fever. You took a nasty wound. It'll heal, replied Gideon. Of course it will, answered Rhiannon. But despite your curse, you lost a lot of blood. Thank you, Gideon said softly. Thank you, replied Rhiannon. You saved me daughter. If If she dreamed it, whispered Gideon, why didn't she stay inside? The gift isn't like that, Rhiannon said, gently wiping Gideon's forehead with a cool, damp cloth. You can see an event, but not how or when. Sometimes you can see the when, but not the how or what. It's not always clear. We only knew that there would be a wolf attack, not when or how. I suppose that makes sense, said Gideon. What's your name? She asked. Why? Asked Gideon, surprised. Well, you saved me daughter, she explained. I cannot keep calling you Roman unless you prefer that. Gideon's head swam as he fought to clear his memory through the fog of pain and whatever herbs were in his system. I am Cassius Rufius Longinus, he replied. Then he shook his head to clear it. I'm sorry. I haven't gone by that name in a long time. Call me Quintus. As you wish, she replied. But when I think about you, another name comes to mind. What name? Asked Gideon. Casca, she replied. Gideon winced. He hadn't heard anyone call him that in over 100 years. He felt the pain of loss of his wife and their children. He felt the loss he had endured of his brothers in the Legion. He felt it burning inside him, suddenly as fresh as the day it happened. Then he saw him, the face of the man they called Christ, as his lance pierced his side. The words flashed through his mind as he closed his eyes, tears flowing unchecked down his face. Soldier, content with what you are, he said. Then what you are, you shall remain until I return.
Chilly chills.
Speaking of that, I'm going to turn my AC off for a little bit. I'm starting to get cold. Well, what do y'all think? That's where we were. And I need to share the screen now. Toshi said I second that, Robbie.
Well, I mean, there's a scene coming up, and I think it's in Blood Oath that kind of maybe sort of kind of
mirrors that a little bit.
And it's
thank you, Dash. Thank you, Miss Lene.
Same kind of thing. When a certain person is talking about a certain thing happening to a certain person.
I like the parallels that are happening in different books. Gideon, when he heard his old name, when he heard Casca, he flashed and thought about everybody he'd lost in the last 100 years, which is almost exactly what happened to Declan in the book I'm currently writing.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is.
Well, let me see what page we started on, because I forgot to check. So the beginning of this chapter is on page 39, and we are on page 46, starting the top of 46 with the next sentence. So that's 7 pages. We'll probably end this chapter in another 5 or 6. So where do we want to go from here, folks? This is the community theater part. Let's hear some suggestions. What should happen next? Should he get the visions from Rhiannon? Should he have another nightmare? Should something else attack the cabin? What do you guys think? Miss Lene, I know. I need to get that book done. It's just been last few weeks has been tough for me to spend any real time writing. Northwood says you need to find a way to have Gideon meet a dwarf named Balkus.
He's already met a dwarf named Balkus.
He has, but just not in this book.
Yeah. Excuse me, let me rephrase that. He will meet a dwarf named Balkus.
Yeah, exactly. At some point in the future.
Yeah.
Hey, Wyatt. Justin says more Gideon background. Milkman says something else attacks the cabin. which with Gideon wounded, would be tough for him to fight. Richie says, how old is Gideon in the later books? Well, let's assume he was a Roman centurion at the time of Christ, which would put him probably mid-20s to early 30s as a centurion, because that's pretty far up the ranks. He would have been a number of years as a soldier in the cohort, but for him to be a full-blown centurion in the time of Christ, let's see. Well, that's basically 0 AD. So he's, by modern standards, about almost 2,200 years old.
Yeah, I got him. I got him a shade over for our timeline. I think I got him shade over 21. I may have made him a little bit younger.
Well, actually, no, because this is 2025. If you add, say, let's just call it an even 30, you add 30 to that, that'd be 1,055 years. No, 2,055 years.
Yeah, I think I had him a shade over 2,000 years.
So he's just shy of 2,100.
Because he's like you said, just a shade under 2,100 years. Ramsey is 319 years old.
Declan's about.
Declan
he would have been born in the 1840s, probably 1846, somewhere around there.
All of them are between 100 and I think we said 100 and.
They're all pushing 200.
Yeah, between 170 and 200, just depending on which one of them was born first. But they're all.
If Declan was born in 1846, if I've got my math right, because I've already said he was 16 when he joined the fight, when he joined the South, and the Civil War started in 1860 to 1865. So if he was 16 years old in 1860, that would have been he was born in 1844. So he's 180 years old, give or take.
I think I got them all at average of 182, but they're all between 170 and 200. So
I see Doc and Jed both being just a little older than Gideon, because they would have been grown, because Doc went to medical school and Jed was a grown man when he joined the Army of South Carolina. Declan basically lied about his age to get in. I mean, he was 15, 16 years old.
Yeah. Well, I think that's why we said between 170 and 200, but just average saying they're all around 182 years old, give or take.
Yeah. So in the ballpark of 180 years for most of the Nightmare Hunters.
At some play or somewhere you had already wrote down their birthdays somewhere. And I can't remember.
I've got them. I just got to find the notebook they're in.
Maybe I was about to say, you'd send it to me at some point for something. Maybe when I was researching for this one. But anyway, and then Rick and Clark are both in their 40s, even though Clark looks like he's a lot younger than Rick.
Well, Richie, if to answer that second question there, if the legends are to be believed, which I have a tendency to believe them, if the legends are intended to be believed, when Casca, the Roman soldier, stabbed Christ in the side, he said this quote right up here. He said, "Soldier, content with what you are, then what you are, you shall remain until I return." So he's cursed to walk the earth always a soldier until Christ returns.
That's where the line eternal is coming from.
Yeah. And much like the line at the end of the Patton quote, dying to be born a soldier, but to die again once more. So
the second part of that question, there are certain ones in his line that have that blood in them now. But if you read Howl the Nightwolf, it kind of sort of explains a little bit of the deviation in that lineage about how one part of it is going because of one thing, and the other part, and then in Dark Frontiers, there's more explained with how Jed and Doc and all the rest of them are still around. And that's Curse of the Wendigo is where that comes in. So we've got all kinds of webs shooting out all kinds of different directions. Now we just got to tie them back in.
Oh, they're getting tied in. Those webs are coming together pretty nicely. So, saw a few suggestions. What do you guys think? What do you want to do with the rest of the chapter? Should we deal with Rhiannon's vision? Should Gideon have like a fevered dream the rest of the night? Because the sun's about to come up. Should something else attack the cabin? The options are pretty wide open. We can have, and this is the beauty of storytelling. You can, as you're creating a story like this, you can literally tell any story you want. It just needs to be plausible. So, what do you guys think? Thank you, Miss Lene. No problem, Richie. Angela says, "Cry of the Wendigo, Curse of the Wendigo is the Wild Hunt." Yeah, I get those.
Yeah, I knew it was one of them. That's why I said Curse of the Wendigo, because I wasn't sure.
Cry of the Wendigo.
So yeah,
thank you, Angela.
The one where the little fella gets bitted.
Explains why Doc hates Wendigos.
Yeah, not the one where the little fella's snowmobile gets violated.
The next time it happens, Doc's gonna have to say the line "Wendigos." Why does it always have to be freaking Wendigos? Don Donaldson says, "Dream till breakfast, wake up healed." Toshi says, "I say he sees a vision from the wife about the wolves and where they came from and what helped to them up until now. Then an attack.
Northwoods.
Curse of the O bag. The Northwoods story."
Oh.
Mr. Anderson, can you explain that? Because when I see NDE, I think non-disclosure, but I don't know what an NDE is now that I think about it. I was thinking NDA.
Yeah.
Larry says, "Move on to the prophecy."
So she said, "That sounds like a really scary story, Northwoods."
You know what they say about truth being stranger than fiction.
That's true. I think a little bit, from what I can tell, it looks like a lot of people are saying going to some type of prophecy or the prophecy itself. He says NDE is near-death experience.
Okay. Yeah, I knew it sounded familiar, but as I couldn't place it for the life of me. Hold on, I'm going to consult the Googles about something because I need to know. Okay, that was absolutely no help at all. So I'm not even going to explain what my idea was because it didn't pan out.
Yeah, you have that on them big jobs sometimes.
Yep. Okay, so I think the most prevalent request was to something to do with the vision. What do you think?
I think my personal opinion, coming off of a line like that, or a prophetic thing where he's thinking about what Christ told him, I think that would kind of bring in. He's in that mind frame or that state of mind. I think that's perfect for leading him into that. Because the tone shift going from that to a fight just doesn't make sense.
I don't want. Didn't like that choice of that word.
Oh,
What?
how about remember the soul mark?
Mm-hmm.
How about
But that came from the Viking curse, though, not from Gideon.
No, I know, but how about she what's it, Rhiannon looks at the wound or something, and she gets a vision, because that's about the same area where Ramsey got his. How about she gets a vision and tells him something about a soul mark for one of his kin, and that's how he knows to do, or the conversation that he's going to have with a certain person at the end of a certain. You know what I mean? You following what I'm try not to give too much away, but you following where I'm going.
Yeah.
it just hit me when you talking about him expelling the teeth and claws. I was like, wait a minute, that's a good chance to tie something like that in. Well, now he wants to know if Jay Matoska could appear. I don't know if he's quite that old.
At this point, he wouldn't be alive.
Yeah.
Although I have thought that I'm gonna hint that Jay may be older than even people suspect, that he may have already been old when the Battle of Greasy Grass took place. But I haven't fully fleshed that idea out in my head.
He's just not.
Yeah, I don't think Jay'd be that old.
He's not Gideon old yet.
No, him and Gideon are old friends, but he's not near as old as Gideon. I'm going to have to shorten that sentence. It's way too long. Oops, I need to change paragraphs there. Ooh, that didn't look right. Is that? I knew that wasn't right.
They call him Jed. Join in the howl, not the howl.
Yeah. Whoops.
Evil.
Evil.
Evil. Yes, Lene, that's what I said. They're calling Jed. She said, "Whoa now, Robbie, isn't that your call sign?"
Give me a second. It's easier it's easier just to copy and paste it than it is to try to write it out again. Faster
Oh,
too.
Chili chills again.